Yeah, you put rice in 2 separate jars with a little bit of water. Actually, no, you don't put any water in it, but you seal the jar. You do put water in it. It's cooked rice. Yeah. And then you yell at one rice. You call it all these bad names. And the other rice you praise. And then you see how it changes because the one I did this. Yeah, I actually did this experiment. It has to do with cymatics and vibrations. Okay, listen, I gotta go. Hey guys, this is Truth. Sorry, I was gonna say Truth and Transparency. Clearly not. I was listening to Truth and Transparency's live earlier, and it was really good. If anybody has stopped by there recently, if you didn't catch it, she was talking about a legal battle that she personally is in. Let me introduce the channel first. True Crime Curiosities, though I'm thinking about changing it to Seeking a Friend for the End of the World, but that's a different story. The Truth and Transparency Live today was really good because it kind of highlights what is going on in the underbelly of the true crime genre on YouTube. This is a crazy place, let me just say that. I've been taking it all in the past year. Never really followed it much prior to Idaho4. I started following the case because I thought it would be more straightforward, less stressful, and interesting, I guess, than following politics because I tapped out of that a few years ago. Regardless, this is a whole other thing that happens over in this place. I I started out a lot on Twitter. That's where I get a lot of my news. And I encountered someone who is another creator I won't name. I'm not going to name any creators here. But, and we chatted back and forth a while. And, but ultimately, after I did a lot of research and gave some research and stuff, and this person was going to produce a video, and they did, the person blocked me out of nowhere on everything. Just out of nowhere, just one day just blocked me everywhere. I, to this day, have no idea why, and I give zero fudges about it, because people like that are just drama, So, but just odd, and that's not the only odd person I've encountered in this true crime drama. There's another person on Twitter who, since the beginning of this case, has been on it. I mean, this person really seemed to know a lot, and this person really isn't on YouTube, really just on Twitter. And I went back and forth with that that person as well, and enjoyed conversing and those sort of things, and found some interesting things out that I didn't know. But then one day I was accused of, I'll be honest, I don't even remember what it was because it was so insane, the accusation. The accusation was so utterly insane that I just basically said, I don't know what you're talking about. I'm legit just somebody who's interested in following this case. It's nothing more than that. And this person blocked me on everything. And so it's possible. I'd always like to look at the other perspective of someone. Like I said in my intro on my bio page or whatever it's called here on YouTube, it's possible that that person has been burned one too many times. And so I'll give grace. But I'm just saying that I found when you interact with other people on this platform, whether it's via, I don't do text because I think that's dangerous. If we're looking at this case and suspecting that the defendant is possibly innocent, that means the murderer is still out here, guys. So they could be among us. So I'm not interested in texting people. But regardless, it's a cutthroat world out here in this true crime genre. So I just learned a couple lessons early on with that. The one person I was speaking with, I actually was digging through something that they had recommended, and I found that yearbook photo of Melvin Brannon. I mean, I found that probably 6-7 months ago, and was sitting on it. I remember I posted it one day, and this person got really upset with me because I was dropping intel, like we were the lead investigators on the case or something. And I, rather than argue, I just deleted it and thought, okay, whatever. But I saw it pop up on somebody's live the other day, and I thought, well, when I do my video, I'll put it in my video. And then I saw today another creator had it as a thumbnail. So, I mean, it's getting out there. I'm not claiming that they got that from me. I'm just stating that I had that months ago, and so did this other person, and it just kind of happenstanced upon it. I will say one thing, though. At the time, I did a lot of research into trying to find out if there was any relation with that person to the defendant, and I could find absolutely nothing. From what I could gather, Melvin Brannon was married, but he didn't have any children, if I can recall, or he may have had one daughter, and that daughter married and didn't have any children. The possibility always exists that Melvin Brannon stepped out, Dr. Melvin Brannon, I should say, stepped out on his wife, and those kind of things don't really get registered in the genealogy records all the time. So that's always a possibility. I don't know. So I'll say that. But people that are stating now that that's the great-grandfather of the defendant, they might be right. Maybe they found the proof that I was not able to find. So I'll just leave it at that. So today's broadcast is going to be about a few things that I've seen that I think there are other perspectives to be seen. One of them I wanted to talk about was Jack Showalter. Jack Showalter is a really interesting character. He was brought up as the first suspect. Everybody was looking at this guy. Everybody. And I'll be honest, I still don't really know if, quote, hoodie guy, in quotes, is Jack Showalter. I don't know if any of us really know for sure, unless you live in Moscow or you know Jack Showalter. Because the police never named Hoodie Guy as Jack Showalter, and I don't believe they ever even uttered the words Jack Showalter. So I know that assumption's been made, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, because I'm wrong all the time. I try not to be when I talk about these things, but it's possible, right? So I did some looking into that, and he's in Delta, probably saying that wrong. But this whole time I'd assumed he was in Sigma Chi, because Sigma Chi is the fraternity that's so affiliated with the 1122 King Road. I don't know why that is. Maybe it's just me, but it seems to come up all the time. Probably because one of the victims was a member of Sigma Chi. But other than that, it's really... there's a lot more members in Tau Delta that are familiar with the people who lived at 1122 King Road, and that's apparent if you just look through the social media pages. So it was interesting perspective for me to kind of look at it from that angle. So Jack Showalter is in, or whatever this person's name that was in the hood, possibly, because I don't even know if I can connect those two. The hooded figure is his face is blurred out. I mean, I can't make it out. But regardless, let's say his name is Jack Showalter. He is in Tau Delta. And I'm going to put pictures up that you can look through like I typically do. They may not match with the recorder because I'm doing it separately because I don't have a great setup just yet, but I'll get one. So everyone in the beginning was all over this guy. Even Mr. Gonzalez was saying, I think I heard him say something to the fact that he had gone off to Africa, they hadn't gotten his DNA, etc. Well, I was looking through the Tau Delta social media pages, and I'll put this up, but Jack Showalter was in the photo on, I think it was November 24th was Thanksgiving that year, right before Thanksgiving break. He was right there, November 24th, on the lawn of Tau Delta. So unless he drove to the cabin in the middle of the night, flew to Africa, and flew right back, because I think that's like an 18-hour flight or something. I don't think he was off in Africa for any length of time vacationing or with his parents. He was still in school. So that I can prove that with the photo that I'll put up. The other thing that came out was there was a young girl. Her name was Annika, I think was her first name, and she came out on TikTok, and she was really upset and said people were just calling my she called him her brother at first. I think they're just very close friends, but saying they're calling him a murderer, and that's not true. And he didn't go to Africa, and I think she's right, because there's this photo of him in November of 2022, 11 days after the murders, on the front lawn of the Delta House in Moscow. So, and she said he did give his DNA, and he did cooperate. And so, in a sense, she does verify that Jack Showalter is somebody that they were interested in. And so that would, with a leap, make sense that he would be the hoodie guy. So I keep in the back of my mind that a lot of these things are perhaps being just thrown out there to confuse people, because I think there are definitely those things happening in this case. That dawned on me recently. So that was the other piece with Jack Showalter. And then there's a picture floating around with Bethany and a guy, and everyone says Bethany knew Jack Showalter prior to, they knew each other in high school with Dylan. And I couldn't find any proof of this. I know that Bethany graduated from high school in in Nevada, which is why she's back in Nevada, because I believe she grew up there. And Dylan and Jack Showalter graduated in Boise, but in separate years. So I don't even know if they knew each other there. I have no idea. However, this picture, I don't think that's Jack Showalter. And I'll show you a picture of who I think it is. It's another young man who lives in Nevada, who went to a Catholic high school. And I think that's more likely who it is than Jack Showalter. Again, I could be wrong. So I'm just presenting it as a different perspective. Then there was another picture out there. Everybody's wondering, who is this man staring into the camera at the grub truck? And I don't know if anyone else has done this, or maybe they have and they just think that they've photoshopped the picture. But if you just watch the grub truck video, you can see who that person is. You see him. There's this whole thing that plays out where his girlfriend is with him, and she gets offered free food from Upright Depressed, or whoever that weirdo is that buys food for people at the grub truck. And at first she doesn't know what's going on, then she realizes it's free and decides she's going to take it. She's a very pretty young girl. She looks a lot like Kaylee, I think. And the guy kind of takes it on the chin, but he looks a little irritated, like somebody's hitting on his girl. But you can see who the guy is, and it's not any of the people. I don't believe it's any of the people that people have said it is. It's this man that's with his girlfriend. That said, I do think I found who that person is. Again, may not be this person. And I don't think he should be a suspect in any way. It's just one of those things that if you're following this case, you just kind of want to, like, if you're like me, you want to just check it off your list. Like, okay, now I know who that is. Okay, I can move on. It's interesting how people like myself and maybe like you can get obsessed with these things. I recognize that this could possibly be a distraction from just, stress. It's stressful in the world right now, and these sort of things take your mind off of it. But I always try to keep in mind, particularly now that I've decided to do some videos, that people's lives, these are real people, and I am not by any means, with any of my pictures, trying to insinuate that anyone here is guilty of any crime. I'm simply showing things that I found to maybe give perspective on some things and and just say maybe that's not true, because people, me included, we have a tendency to, you know, find something and say this is it and that's this person and that's what happened. And in this case, I think we really don't know anything right now. We really know nothing. And one of the things that Mr. Gonzalez said, and one of the creators said this, and it made me really take a step back and think, you know, they surveil us on a level that is like we're not even aware of. And so I don't like the surveillance that I'm aware of. And I figured they've got surveillance that I'm not aware of. And if you just look into Argus, Argus is one of the ways they surveil us. It's pretty creepy and scary. And so everybody knows there's something not right here. That's kind of obvious at this point. Possibly the thing that's not right is that the level of surveillance they use to find any of this stuff is so unusual and unknown to the public that they couldn't put that forth, but they wanted this person caught so badly, and so they used it, and now they have to figure out a way to prove that they caught the defendant in a constitutional manner. And I'm going to be honest, if they did it in an unconstitutional manner, it's not. It should not be held. They can't hold the defendant, and they have to do it constitutionally. You can't let that sort of thing slide. Not for one person, not once, because if it happens once, you might as well forget it. Because anybody that they don't like, or says the wrong thing, or looks funny, or looks the wrong way, they do a lot of this stuff to begin with. So I don't know if that's the case. It's just my thought on the matter. So those are the two I wanted to bring up: Jack Showalter and showing that he was on the campus November 24th, and then the grub truck guy, who I do not believe has any involvement in this whatsoever, but I just want to put forth a theory of who I think it may be, and somebody he kind of looks like. Again, don't think he has anything to do with this, just somebody that everybody kind of focused on. And that's it for now. I have a lot more stuff that I can put out if I end up having anybody listening to these. Nobody may even be listening. I hope so. I hope people find this interesting. And I will catch you guys on the next one.